Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you both for being prompt. We apologize for the extra couple minutes here. We know we have some registrants that signed up, so we wanted to give them time, but we don't want to interrupt your schedules because you guys came on time. So welcome in, and thank you for taking time to learn about how webinars really work when vendors are trying to get in front of community association managers, HOAs, and CAMs. I'm going to enable the waiting room here just to be able to let everybody in, and we won't have to worry about letting anyone in. And then just for purposes of marketing, we are recording this. So by being involved, you agree to allow us to do that and use in marketing materials. Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We know it's a busy time of year, so thank you very much again for being here. I'm Diane Michael. I am with Callan Group Communications, and I began business development, marketing, and outreach in 1999. Been doing it a long time. For the purposes of today, I've been working with community association managers since 2014, so for 10 years. I started with the building association managers, and I managed that organization 10 years ago. And I'm so glad I did, because I got to meet so many great vendors, and I learned about a whole pocket of people to do business with that I had never even thought about in my marketing business. I also was able to meet a bunch of amazing people like this woman sitting next to me.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Lombardi. I own Coastal Living Association Management. My family owns Coastal Living Real Estate. I've been a licensed real estate agent since 2013, worked in the home inspection business prior to that, and have had my CAM license since 2016. So grew up in the real estate world, ventured into community association management, and then have kind of stayed in that realm for the last several years. So as a CAM, we know it's really important. Our vendors are one of our most important assets. And so we're trying to bring the vendors and the CAMs together through this program.
Okay, so we all know that business is more and more challenging every day. I know that in our marketing world, we are constantly growing and evolving based on the new platforms and the new technology that's out there. And so staying current is something that vendors have every goal to do, but they just don't have time. They're busy, focused on their own industry. And so that's why partnering with a team like ours is so good, because we are up to date on the digital technology that is needed to communicate with the community association managers through webinars, newsletters, and social media. The demographics are changing. I see it every day with our clients. You constantly have to be bringing more business in for the ones that are leaving, especially as vendors that are dealing with HOAs and COAs. The board is constantly changing. So you get a new board president, you get a new board secretary, and they have a friend that's in the industry that you're in, and you've been working with that COA for 5 years. All of a sudden you may not be getting that contract again. So, being open to expanding your reach is absolutely an important thing that this program provides. Good help is hard to find. I know that we all know that. And that is why Lindsay and I partner together, because she brings the CAM perspective to this program to be able to help come from that mindset. And one of the things I always say that I love about Lindsay is that she's worked for the corporate management companies. She's worked for the family-run management companies. She's worked on property. She's been portfolio, and then she's her own CAM business privately. So she's seen all different aspects of how to do business with vendors and how vendors do business with boards. More expensive, this is something that we all know. It just happens year over year. Things get more expensive. But when it comes to marketing and creating strategies, I have a management company that we do an annual conference, and we have doubled the price of participation from last year to this year because the expenses have doubled and in some cases tripled. So it's more expensive to get exposure to CAMs and to get exposure to board members. And that's why our program is very affordable. And then more competitive marketing options. Like I said, with that conference that's out there, all the management companies offer some kind of program. I think if they're a good management company, they are. You're seeing all kinds of ways that people are trying to get in front of the CAM and in front of the board members. So what's the most strategic way to do that in the most efficient way, and why do it on your own when you have enough to worry about? And the whole goal of this program is for us to do the program so that you can take the calls, you can field the prospects, and you can grow your side of the business while we handle it for you. Anything to add on that?
Just that, the benefit to this is that if you go around and you're going to promote your business in person, and you're going to go to an office, you're expected to bring in breakfast or lunch or some sort of snack, and then you're there for, an hour and a half. And that's great. You're going to meet the CAMs that are in that office, but in that particular situation, you're not meeting CAMs that are working on property. You're not meeting CAMs that work for themselves or for a smaller company where they don't really have a lot of office time or an office space where you can go in and meet. So you've got the expense of, traveling to that office, bringing in the food, and then obviously you're missing some of your target demographic. In addition, if you're going to the on-site properties to meet the CAMs, it's great if you can hit a bunch of condos in a row. You never know what the office hours are, what the days are. So you might only get a couple, and you've carved out that, 2 or 3 hours, and you really only make contact with a couple people. So this is a way for you to get out there to every CAM's inbox in the counties that you work in, and have the opportunity to meet all of those CAMs in your 30 or 45 minutes on that webinar, right from your office, in your car, if you're, in between clients, wherever you happen to be while you're on that webinar. And there's really, there's the expense of the program, but other than that, you're not having to bring anything. We're doing all the work for you, and you're just showing up to that webinar to give your expert knowledge to that group of CAMs to gain their trust and grow a relationship with them, so that when they need somebody in your field, they remember you and reach out to you for that proposal.
Very well said. Being that I worked with the building association managers and then I have the management company as a client. I work with a ton of CAMs other than Lindsay, and I don't know how they do it. It's a thankless job. Their days are not their own. They have all, I think, the good ones have, all good intentions to have an organization of, what to do on Mondays, Tuesdays, whatever. And, elevator will go down, or there's a flood in a condo, or, someone called in sick and they have to do their own mailings. And so, the day in the life of a CAM is crazy. Do you want to just kind of touch very briefly on that and
Sure.
why that's important for here?
So I think, like Diane said, we all have, what we would like to see. We would love to start our day in the office and then go to some properties and then finish our day in the office and kind of keep that organization. Unfortunately, as I learned very early on in this business, that is, you can go into the day with exactly what you're going to do, and it generally is never that. So, while we like to start the day in the office, check our emails and our voicemails, and in that time, we may find out there's some major problem going on at our property, or even a small problem, but it requires our attention. And so then your day kind of gets consumed around whatever those issues are. So for us to have the time to even take time to meet with vendors, or for us to be wherever you think, maybe the office was supposed to be open, but now I've had to run to Home Depot because the maintenance guy is working on something and he can't stop to go to Home Depot to get the part to fix the thing. So it's just, it's very unpredictable what your day is going to be. So we all start the day with the best of intentions, and you just never know where it's going to go. And that's another reason why for this, Zoom, you can pop on your cell phone, you can pop on your computer. So for the cams, if it's a topic that really interests them and they have a need for someone in that field and an expert, maybe they're not sitting in their office, but they're going to get the reminder on their app, that they have this Zoom meeting, this webinar coming up. They can pop on wherever they are and have, be able to listen to that information and participate from wherever they are, which, again, a benefit, because we never know where we're going to be depending on how the day goes.
So we see a few people doing it okay, the webinar programs, and that's where the program started for us. We saw the benefit of doing webinars for CAMs for education. And so we work with a number of vendors who, understand that working smarter, not harder is the way to go. They want to touch as many CAMs as possible in the whole state of Florida. They want to get their name out there. They want to build that relationship with the CAM and be the industry leader in their field. And they want to provide solutions to CAMs. And so, we started seeing like law firms, a few good law firms that we know will do webinars for CAMs very sporadically. When Florida statute changes, you'll see a bunch of them. But CAMs, and Lindsay will certainly correct me if I'm wrong, CAMs, they rely on their vendors. And Lindsay always says it's their toolbox. Like it's the vendors are the best thing that they have, is because that's their toolbox, so that they get what is needed in that specific industry, the knowledge, the what's current. The industry leader is their partner, so that they're educated when they're communicating to the board members and to the residents. And so, what we've seen is these one-off webinars, and it's great. We believe in every kind of marketing, but to do it effectively, to where your business name is in the CAM's mind, we recommend doing it every 6 weeks. We have some clients that change their topic every time, and then we have some clients that have the same topic every time, because our list is huge. We have all the CAMs in the state of Florida. And they know that, like today, we had almost a dozen signed up, and we don't have everyone on. Like everybody, we have good intentions to get everything done, but when we're just learning on a 25-minute webinar, you're like, I can miss that today. But we're going to continue to do these, and we're going to put these on our YouTube channel so that people can see them if they missed, or attend in future. And it's the same thing with this program. Instead of doing one-off webinars where, you're kind of coming in during season when everyone's trying to get that, message across to the CAM, you're on a consistent message. You have a topic where it's relevant to the CAM, to give them that feedback, that industry information that they can then transfer over to the board, or invite the board to attend the webinar as well, so that they look better, because they're constantly being, questioned, and you're constantly being, asked, all these different, things about what's current, and they can't possibly do it on their own. So they need that good partner. Anything to add to that?
Just that education is so important for CAMs. We need to know a little bit about everything. So for us to be able to pop on, even if we don't need someone in roofing right now, or we don't need someone in asphalt right now, if we are able to pop on and get some education, so if that comes up for a property, or if we're asked about it, we at least sound like, we know what we're talking about, for what our knowledge needs to be. Because if a property asks you about something and you're like, well, I have no idea, I've never dealt with that before, I haven't worked with anyone on that, it doesn't sound great for you or for the company you work with, if you're working for a company. So education is very important. We have to do our continuing education hours, and that's great, but it's 20 hours of continuing education over a couple of years. You're not getting all of your knowledge and information on every topic through that. So I think, you're going to get CAMs who maybe don't need you right now, but want the education on it. And then they're going to remember that, when they continue to quote what you said during the webinar to their clients, when the opportunity comes up for them to need someone in your field, they're gonna remember where they learned that from, and you're gonna be the phone call.
And then why we started it, other than, that seeing these one-offs, we're like, okay, nobody's getting that every 6 weeks, like, you remember your emails as a CAM, you're getting hundreds, and most people are getting hundreds of emails. Most people can't organize and follow up. It's one of my like cat peeves, but I digress. So what was I saying?
About the getting a ton of emails, so you don't remember.
Oh, the 6 weeks. Yeah, right. So,
Yeah.
like, you forget who you're talking to. You forget that roofing company, that asphalt company, that I have because of that management company, I'm on their email list, and one of the CAMs put an email out to all of the users and said, does anybody know anyone with an EV charging station, like, representative? And no one knew. So that was an opportunity for me to help them. I reached out to an EV vendor to try to get them into that management company, because, nobody knew who they were. But if that EV company was working with us and they were doing these 6 weeks webinars, they're getting newsletters that are sent out to the CAMs almost weekly. They're getting social media. So their name is in that inbox on a regular basis. And it's not one of these one-offs. It's consistent, it's clean, it's professional, and it's in the inbox of the CAM on a regular basis. And again, we have this amazing list of all the CAMs in the state of Florida. So, if you send out one webinar and you get 60 people, there's still hundreds of CAMs left that want that information. So you continue to educate, and you continue to position yourself as that education provider, that knowledge leader, that thought creator. And then they remember you when somebody in the office says, I need this contact. Who do I go to? Another reason you want to stay top of mind is RFPs.
Yep, 100%. So especially right now, you're coming into the start of the year. Everyone's looking at their budgets. They've maybe had to cut back in some areas. So now they're looking at, can they save money, on different contracts that they have that are monthly contracts or quarterly contracts. So you're going to see, after the first of the year, people are going to start putting feelers out there, putting these RFPs out to see, where they can save some money, if going with a different vendor is going to give them an opportunity, or maybe get better service for the same price. So, obviously, we need to get 3. Generally, as a CAM, we try to bring 3 quotes and bring those to the board. So even if they have a couple of vendors that they work with on a regular basis, they're going to be looking for somebody else to throw in there. And that's a great opportunity also, for you to gain business that way with CAMs. And again, 3 is the number. And so a lot of times it's hard to find 3 people that we can get, RFPs back from timely. So that's a great opportunity to step in there as a vendor also.
It's also an interesting, I'll just speak about this briefly because I know we're coming up on our 25 minutes, but it's an interesting time to be a vendor with CAMs and HOAs and COAs because of the Florida statute that changed and goes into effect January 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not familiar with it, you definitely want to be. We're very familiar with it. But basically, structurally, COAs.
Yeah, COAs. Buildings of a certain height and size are required to fully fund reserves now. Those reserves needed to be fully funded by December 31st of this year, and therefore a lot of the big projects that condominiums have been putting off that are structural, that have to do with the structural integrity of the building, are required to be done. So if it's due to be done, it has to be completed. So every vendor who does anything, painting, concrete restoration, even landscaping, because once they tear it up, they have to put it back, all those different things, those projects all have to be completed. So you're going to start seeing a lot of work going on beachside, especially. And so this is the time to get your name and information out there so that you're part of that influx of work that's going to be coming right around the corner.
Right. And that is another reason you want to be in their minds, which is through their inboxes. So this is a case study. This is one of our clients. We basically become an extension of your team. We are your marketing department. We handle it all. The program is $950 a month, and we require a minimum of 4 months. And we do a webinar every 6 weeks. So you get 3 educational webinars in a 4-month basis. And what we bring to the table, other than our knowledge and experience, is that we provide the CAM list. So if you are soliciting CAMs and board members, HOAs, COAs in multiple counties, even better. So we target those counties for you. We work with you on the message, what the topic is, and the bullet points. Then we create the marketing materials. We get your approval on it. And then we send it out to the CAMs weekly with a save the date, sign up now, invite your board members 3 days before, kind of the same way you guys got here today. We follow up and follow up and follow up because everyone has so many emails all the time. So we manage that process. We also do social media posts so that there's a little bit more branding for you and so that you're getting that demographic that is on those platforms. And it's just another way to see, okay, I got this vendor, he came into my, or she came into my inbox, and now I'm on social media and their message is popping up, or I've seen their name before. It's just another way for us to connect the dots to tell your story to get them to the webinar. Then we create the PowerPoint for you with the topics that we have gone over and approved so that you don't even have to create the PowerPoint. The day of the webinar, we meet with you for about 35 minutes before so that we make sure the slides are working. We give you a nice background so that you can be anywhere and feel comfortable about it. And I'm sitting here going, we should have not had it because we have such a pretty background, but whatever. We do all the graphics, we do all the design so that you don't have to, because we know that you're busy, and we know that, if you're good at what you do, you have no time to be doing your own marketing, and it's something that should be outsourced. We become your moderators the morning or the afternoon of the webinar. So I introduce you, and then Lindsay comes in as a CAM. So she'll ask questions to create more engagement from the CAMs. And what we see is oftentimes once at the end, and we recommend about a 40-minute webinar, like a 30-minute education, and then 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A. That's worked pretty well. And when we promote it that way, we get more attendees. But when Lindsay starts the questions, other CAMs get involved. And so it's really good for CAMs to see what other CAMs are asking, because they can't possibly be thinking of all the questions that are needed in that sector. And then after, we follow up. So, we'll go into the registrants and we'll see who signed up but did not attend, and we'll send them a personal message. And then we'll take the video of the webinar, we'll add it to your YouTube channel, and we'll send it out to everyone. And then wash, rinse, and repeat. We do it again 6 weeks later. So that is our program. We're excited about it. We've had great success. One quick vendor came to us last week and said that an association contacted them for a proposal, and they didn't attend the webinar, but they got the newsletters and they saw the video of the webinar. And so even if people aren't attending the webinar, they're still getting the content and they're still getting the information. So that is our program. We thank you so much. If you guys have questions, I can ask you to unmute, and by all means, feel free to give us your questions so that we can answer them for you while we have you. And I'm asking to unmute. Questions?
Yes, if I may.
Yes.
I know it's an impossible question to answer, but I'll ask it anyway. How many people attend on average? Are you getting 2 or 3, or are you getting more than that?
Yeah. So it depends on the topic, depends on time of year, depends on the day, depends on the time. Expert inspectors, the one that I just showed, we did one in the morning and one in the afternoon, both had over 60, but we've also had some that have had 3.
Yes,
So I would say an average is 15 to 20, but that's why we have it every 6 weeks. That's why we put it out there to everyone after, because even if they can't attend, they're still getting your education, your content, your contact information.
yes.
And I'll
Okay,
just
thank
jump
you.
in there. We had one about a week ago, and there were like 15 or 16 people on there. On the actual day of the webinar, only 3 attended, I think. But we like to say quality over quantity, because one of those 3 people that attended actually did reach out to the company for a proposal separate from the example Diane gave. So, and then again, the other people that didn't attend, you know, days are crazy. You never know if you can actually join or not at the time that you want to. But they will get the information. So we know that there were 15 people that were interested. We're going to follow up with those 15 people. They're going to get an email and be able to watch the video. The 3 that attended, you know, 1 reached out to the client. So again, and this, I think for us right now is a hard time of year. We kind of said, you know, the holidays, you've got people who, it's just so many different crazy things going on. So it's hard, you know, in December, I think, but in all of our other ones, the participation has been pretty good. But again, it's the quality over the quantity. You know,
Yeah.
it's great if 50 people attend the webinar, but if you don't get any calls from it or, you know, anything out of it, it's just 50 people that showed up to listen. So
I agree. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you for the question.
Question as it pertains to, we're building out some CE classes for
Wonderful.
CAMs. Now, how do you guys work with getting the information from the CAMs that participate? Because we've never done a webinar that way. We've really not done over on this side of the state. We're in Southwest Florida.
Right.
We've never done one over on this side yet. We did some when I was in an office in Fort Lauderdale, but now, you know, in accumulating the information on the attendees and signing in and all that, do you guys handle
Yeah.
that, or what's
We
that
handle all
process
of
look
it.
like?
Yes. So we require Zoom. So you just have to pay, I think it's like $15.99 for a professional Zoom account. And then we handle all of it. We get your login credentials, and there's an agreement where, we're only going in to use it for our purposes for the webinar. But after we get the approval on the topic and the bullet points, the date, we go in, we set up the webinar, and then we send it out to the CAMs. We do the registration on the newsletters for the CAMs. So it's just one click, boom, and then they go into the Zoom sign up, just like you did for today. And then we get the registrant list on the back end. It's also your account, so you can always go in and look. But the morning of, we send a reminder straight from Zoom that has the link, so that it's easy for them. They have it on their calendar that they have a webinar, but maybe they didn't put the link. So boom, they click the link and then they attend. And then for the ones that did not attend but registered, we do a personal email on your behalf after, just letting them know, we saw that you registered. Here is the video. Here's the link to the YouTube. But yeah, we handle it all, because if you're not using it on a regular basis, it takes double the time, triple the time. And so, this is what we do daily. This is what we get, this is why we get paid the big bucks. So you do what you do well, we do what we do well.
And as far as the education, we actually have some clients that do have like continuing education credits. So that's handled a little bit differently, because obviously, as you know, you have to get certificates and everything out to everyone, and then also file that with the DBPR. So that's something, if you wanted us to do for you, we have the ability to do that, know how to do that also. But if you want to handle that in-house, again, we can get you that list of participants, because obviously only who showed up would get the credits, and then you can use that information to send the certificates and file the information. And when they
Gotcha.
register, we could add probably somewhere where they could put in their CAM
number, so that you can move that over to DBPR. Also, something, Kevin, you want to consider is, while you're getting this approved by DBPR. The board members, starting in January, have to have more continuing education. And each HOA and COA depends on how many units they have and and whether it's HOA or COA. But you'll be able to also provide the continuing education credits to board members. So that'll be a great win for you. It's a program we actually have as well. We get people certified through the DBPR because that's a home run. Because if a CAM gets a webinar where it's education and then they get an email that's education plus CE credits, and
Yeah, they're gonna attend
most of the time they're
Yeah.
going to take
one
this.
or the other.
Yeah, so good for you.
Well, what about also, we're looking to, want to get involved like with realtors and like that too. Now, I know you guys are doing cams, but are you also do it for these other outside of cams and like that for real estate brokers and like that too?
We do.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as we're able to pull an email database, which we can, in that, it depending on the industry, it works. Webinars work. They work.
Well, we've been working on getting our CE classes built out and getting multiples, built out like that. And so we're kind of at the point of getting the paperwork done with the state. I had to do it before, and once I moved to this other office, I don't even think they kept them up there anymore. But we had to do our own submissions, and I know it doesn't happen overnight, but we want to reach out to. We do leak detection, is what our business is. So
Oh, great.
we're
Yeah,
kind of we're a niche. We're plumbing, but we're kind of a niche in the plumbing lane, and but anyways, okay, all right, very good.
Well, and keep in mind, Kevin, while I always recommend to clients, to associates, friends, when you're waiting on uncontrollables, time goes by fast. Even though you want to provide that CE, starting sooner than later is good, because that's, the leak detection and the pool, I think pools are, one of the biggest assets to a community. The pool area, the common area, it's the most expensive, and CAMs do not have usually good partnerships with good pool companies. There's a revolving door. We work with a lot of pool companies. And so having someone in leak detection in their Rolodex, even before you provide the CE, is going to really benefit you, because it gets
Right.
your name out there to the CAMs, and it gets them talking about your name to the other people that are in their offices.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, not long ago, I had a townhouse where there was a leak somewhere and they couldn't figure out where it was, so they had to bring someone, and it ended up being under the slab between the bathroom and the garage where the hot water heater was. But there's just so many different avenues where in that side of the business, and definitely in real estate also, when you're doing home inspections and things come up, leak detection is one of those areas where you can never have enough context in that, and you want someone that's dependable. Because I've had leak detection companies come out and tell me, well, we can't find it, we don't know where it is, and we've already paid the $250, $500, and now we have no answer, and we have to call somebody else out. So
and
Right.
then educate.
And the classes I was involved, the class I was doing on the other side were for insurance adjusters, because we do a lot of insurance work. So we didn't have a pool class at the time because insurance generally does not care about a pool. They're not going to cover it. But so it was more on the plumbing and drain lines. But with the cams and like that, we figured that we could get a pool, class approved. And we're kind of building them out at our classes, hour long, CE. But anyways, okay, all right. Well, I'm definitely interested. I'm driving right now. I did the Zoom as you guys were talking about from your phone. So,
Great.
but I definitely want to get more information like that. Will there be follow up after? I'm sure there will be.
Of course there will be. Yes, of course.
And we can schedule a time to meet with you, for 10 or 15 minutes if you have more questions when you're in the office, and it's more convenient for you. Just, we'll email out after this, and then if you want to get with us, we can schedule a time that's convenient.
Perfect. All right. I look forward to it.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
John, did you
Thank
have
you.
any other questions?
No, thank you very much. Always interesting. Appreciate you guys what you're doing.
We thank you for taking the time. We know how busy this season is, and Merry Christmas to you both. Thank you for your time.
Merry
you.
Christmas. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.